Good morning, true crime friends. As soon as I'm done with this video, I have to go conduct a complete investigation. You want to know why? Because I lost my headset. I don't know where it went. I was looking at my little, I do a little video test for sound and light and whatever, especially since I'm in this attic space right now, and it's lost. I don't know. In my test video, it was around my neck. Right now, it's missing. Okay, look, but that's not going to stop the gossip. Please trust and believe I am here to bring you all the tea. I am still on vacation. So as you're watching this, I'm just floating away on ocean currents. Anyway, in another country. Oh yeah, we're going to another country. I'm super excited. Anyway, so I was like, wait, let me look at some of these vintage cases and maybe my gossip friends will enjoy a vintage case while I'm away on vacation. Oh, and I found a good one. And listen, my whole thing is I want a case that's at least a little bit relative to my life, something I can relate to. So I'm flipping through, and then I found a vintage case. And by vintage, I mean a case where they don't use cell phone technology and ring cameras to find the bad guy. This case featured zero technology. Oh, they had to do everything the old-fashioned way. They were knocking on people's doors. They had to ask people questions and rely on what they said and then go check alibis. You want to know what year that was? This blew my mind. 2012. Can you imagine? Back in 2012, they weren't using, at least in court, all the technology that they use now. Also, I was around I was a full-grown grown-up in 2012. But anyway, let me get on to this case. So we're over in Michigan, and this is the state of Michigan versus Jeffrey Pine. Jeffrey's mama got killed. So I'm like, oh, somebody killed a mama? Put him in jail. Put them in jail. And then I got a little more information. So this is what happened. Jeffrey Pine and his father and his mother and his sister lived in a lovely house in Michigan. Oh, they had a big old cement pond out back. Yep, they had an in-ground swimming pool. In my mind, right, if you have a beautiful in-ground swimming pool with the nice shrubbery around it and everything and the lounge chairs and stuff, oh, you're living a good life. That is a perfect life. How could there not be happiness in this home if you have the good cement pond? Now, and in Michigan, if you got a pool and you live in Arizona or Florida or something like that, of course you have a pool. It's so hot. I don't know how people survive without them. But in Michigan, child, you can only use that pool 3 seconds a year. What you gonna use it in July and August? And then the leaves change colors and the apples start to fall. You gotta go apple picking and shoveling snow and other stuff. So I was like, oh, they fancy. They got a pool they can only use 3 seconds a year. Well, this is clearly a happy family. Well, if you thought like I was thinking, you would be wrong. So, Jeffrey's little sister comes home and she's like, Dad, I can't get the door open. And the father's like, move back, youngin'. I will take care of that. I don't know why I gave them a southern accent, but whatever. So he's like, no, baby, let me get this door. So he pushes the door and a bloody hand comes from under the door. And he's like, ooh, I'm going to have to find a landline to call 911 because no cell phones. So, he uses his landline to call 911, and it's a very hysterical call. Hang on, I done talk my throat dry. Calls 911, and the police come, and they're like, okay, cordon off the area. Let's see what's going on. And they go in, and Mrs. Pine is dead on the floor. And she's not just regular dead. We're like, oh, maybe she had a heart attack or an aneurysm, and she just plopped over while she was doing laundry. Mrs. Pine, violently murdered. Not just a little bit, but somebody was really mad at Mrs. Pine, and it was not her husband. Shocker, because it's always the husband. It was not her husband. Her face is bashed in. She's stabbed in the neck. There's blood everywhere. It is a terrible scene. So they call the police and they get everybody out there and they're taping off the scene. Why the cars from 2012 look so old? But okay, anyway. So they're taping off the scene and they're like, okay, call, your son, let him know. We want to advise him, whatever. So Jeffrey comes home. You see where this is going, right? Jeffrey comes home and he has Band-Aids on his hands. And the police are like, oh, well, we want to get a look at him and see what is his reaction to coming home to police tape all around the house. Those cops were really paying attention. They were like, listen, you see his hands? He has big band-aids on his hands. We want to look at them, but also we want to let him know, like, your mom is dead on the floor. She's covered in blood. Hey, boo-boo, what's going on with your hands? Listen, the paramedics are already here. And your mother, she can't really use them because she's past the point of paramedics. Let's just take a look at them little handsies. Shall we? Come on, give me your hand. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. So he gives him his hands. And his hands are all jacked up. And they were like, how'd you do that, young Jeffrey? And he was just like, oh, at work, I injured myself. They were like, okay. So they take the mom down to the medical examiner and they do the autopsy, like not that day, but very soon after. And they take Jeffrey over to the police station. And some people are like canvassing the neighborhood. They're out there asking the neighbors questions. And as they talked to Jeffrey, we had the footage for that. And I was like, let me look close and see what they got on the footage. No body cam footage. 2012, they had that camera in the ceiling. So you're looking down on the scene like you're God. So I was just like, okay, Jeffrey, what you got to say for yourself? And he was like, yeah, so I was at work and he's like, I was hanging out the house. And then my mom came home with some groceries and I helped her put the groceries away. And then I gave her a big hug and a kiss because, you know, I love her very much. And I had to go help a neighbor plant some lilac bushes. So I went and I planted the lilac bushes. Then I went to my regular job where I lift heavy things, including things that are on pallets. I don't know what kind of work it was, but he said he lifted up pallets. Okay, fine. You were lifting pallets at work. So the police officers were like, right. Can you excuse us for a minute? We're going to go in the hall and talk about you behind your back. So just sit here. We'll be right back. So they go in the hall, they come back, and they're just like, Jeffrey, we're going to need to take those Band-Aids off your hand. Can we see what's happening on your hands? So they look at his hands, and they're like, oh, this sucker did it. He done killed his mama. And I was like, how do you kill your mother? That is sacrilege. Listen, people do it all the time. Matricide, but like, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And then not the very nice Ashley Banfield, because I'm watching, what's the show? Judgment with Ashley Banfield. Oh, I can't recommend this show enough. So Ashley Banfield comes on and she gives us some statistics. And she was like, the crime of killing your mother is called matricide. I think I knew that. But also, I feel like matricide should have something to do with a mattress, like you got killed on a mattress. But that's not what happened. So anyway, she was like, the crime of matricide is commonly happens with men. Okay, I have sons. Say more, Ashley. Say more. And she's like, it commonly happens with men who are like adult men kill their mothers. And I was like, wait, what? What? So I am at risk times 4 because I have only 3 of my 4 sons are adults, but one is 15. I don't know. Where is that 15-year-old? This morning when I was up here, he was like, hey, mommy, can I go ride my bike? Baby, it is 6 o'clock in the morning. What you going to ride? Yes, it is Saturday, but if it was a school day, you wouldn't be up at 6 o'clock in the morning like, I'm up, I'm dressed, I'm ready to go. And he was like, oh, I'm going to go up to the college because they like play basketball up there and tennis and whatever. And I was like, okay, what is that 15-year-old up to? Anyway, that notwithstanding, he's still my child. He's still my baby. All the other ones, grown-ups. So I was like, okay, so these 3 grown sons could kill me. And so I have to do a deep investigation into this case to find out, why might my sons kill me? Turns out that the mom in this case, not a great mom. And I was like, oh, public service homicide. Got you. Not that that's right. We learned in one of our other cases that even if your mother's terrible, you're not allowed to kill her. But okay, good to know. This mom, and Lord, I hate to mom bash. I won't bash you for like getting an epidural or not breastfeeding or your kid's screen time. But if your kid ends up killing you, I'm probably going to judge you a little bit. Unless he was like really nuts and he was a serial killer or something like that, then you kind of can't help it. So anyway, this mom apparently suffered from some mental illness, which, okay, no shame in mental illness. I have a little anxiety, depression from time to time myself, but she refused to take her medication. And periodically she would just go off and scream at the kids and beat the kids. And then they showed mama's mugshot. Mama got a mugshot? Your mom not supposed to have a mugshot. You know who don't have a mugshot? Me. You know who probably also doesn't have a mugshot? You. So they showed her mugshot from just a few months ago where she went to jail for attacking her son, her young adult son who was still living at home. Sir, you should probably move out. So she had been hospitalized in a mental institution several times over the previous decade because she was bipolar and had some other issues going on. And she would get on the meds and she would feel better. And then she would go off of them. And then she would things would go wildly awry. And they were saying, some days you would walk in the kitchen and she would be like, I baked you these nice cookies. Would you like some nice garlic bread? Would you like a spaghetti dinner or whatever? And other days she would be like, get out of my kitchen. Full exorcist. So they didn't know what they was going to get. And Jeffrey was like, I have to protect my little sister who's only 12 years old. Because you see this heifer's crazy. You saw her mugshot. She went to jail. So on this particular day, we don't know what actually happened. But what the evidence shows us is that the mom came home with the groceries. She put the groceries away. They found a receipt. See, old-fashioned police work. And then there was some sort of argument that broke out between mom and Jeffrey, and he got upset and he took a 2x4 and bludgeoned her to death in the laundry room. Ooh, Jeffrey, that's bad. It was clearly an emotional killing, but wait, there's more. It was not enough that he had bludgeoned her to death. Then he took a knife and stabbed her 16 times in the neck. Jeffrey was serious. Jeffrey was like, listen, you have hit me for the last time. You have punched me in the face for the last time. This is the last time we're doing this, and I'm going to make sure, please enjoy these 16 stab wounds. So she was very dead. Jeffrey said he didn't do it. They did not find blood on his hands, although they did find the skin rubbed off his hands in a shape that would fit a 2x4. Okay, Jeffrey, my friend, this is not going good for you. So they take him to court. Hang on. He never confesses. He says it's not him. Why y'all looking at me? Just because I have these very suspicious bruises on my hand and I said I was home at the time. And then they went and talked to the neighbor lady up the street and she's like, yes, Jeffrey helped me plant lilacs last week. Not the day of the murders. No. That was a week ago. And so they go to court, right? And I'm like, okay, Jeffrey's going to have a really good defense. Like, she beat me. I'm sorry. I couldn't take it no more. It was a bad situation. Look at her police record. Now, should you put the victim on trial? No, you should not. But this was a special circumstance. So the problem that Jeffrey ran into, he hired a private defense attorney. Okay, great. That's a great first move. It was that guy's first murder case. And he was going up against a prosecutor who had been prosecuting for 25 years. I don't want to be your first murder client. I don't want to be your murder client at all, truth be told. But I certainly don't want to be your first murder client. I don't want to be your first nothing. If this is your first time driving, I'm not going in that car. If this is your first time flying a plane, no thank you. I'm not going to be there. If this is your first time in a romantic experience, no thank you. I need seasoned professionals. In my life personally, maybe that's privilege. Maybe I'm just enjoying some black girl privilege, but I'm not going to be your first nothing. I need you to be seasoned. I need you to know what you're doing. I need you to be well trenched in this. Did they get a discount because it was his first murder case? If it's your first, they're like, okay, commit one murder, get the second one half off. If my defense, I don't know how that works, but he got a first-time lawyer. I mean, he was a first-time lawyer. It was his first time doing a murder case, and he was very diligent. And the 25-year veteran prosecutor got up and put on a boatload of evidence. This showed, now we can't put the 2x4 in Jeffrey's hands, except for we kind of can. And we have all this other mountain of evidence. And the nice neighbor lady was like, he was not planting lilacs at my house. He wasn't over here because I was looking out the window and I did not see him. And then the people at work were like, he was at work that day and we have pallets here, but we tried to lift up the pallets in the way that he mentioned. And you can't bruise your hands like that. And so the prosecutor sat down and the defense attorney got up and said, they have not proven their case. Sir, you have not made your money. But then the jury went out and they deliberated for 10 hours. Now, lately, we've been doing some really big cases on Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. And everybody comes back in 3 hours. Alec Murdaugh, 3 hours. A lot of them, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. 10 hours seems like a really long time, which tells me they thought about it a lot. They were working on it. They weren't sure. They really had to turn it over in their mind. Also, who wants to spend 10 hours locked in a room with strangers having an argument? No, thank you, not me, because that is exactly what jury duty is. You in a room, you not at home, you don't have any of your creature comforts. They do buy you lunch, though. I might have stayed for that second day for the lunch, depending on what the lunch was. And they come back and they're like, guilty. And so they got up and gave victim impact statements. And I was like, where's everybody going to fall on this? So Jeffrey got up and it's like, Your Honor, I did not do this. Sir, if not you, then who? But I guess that's not a question you are required to answer. Jeffrey's dad got up there and was like, obviously, a stranger killed my wife. Dad? You lived in that house. And then the dead lady's sister got up and she was like, my sister was a victim. Everybody's saying bad things about her. She was a victim. She was mentally ill. Yes, we get that. But her arrest record for beating her adult child speaks for itself. So he gets carted off to prison and the judge was like, listen, sir, I understand this was a bad situation. And if you had said that you had did it or admitted some part of guilt or whatever, maybe I could give you a lighter sentence. But you have given me nothing to hang my hat on. So you're going to have to go to jail for 25 to 60 years. That's a long spread. So I guess the judge is like, we're going to give you a decent piece of time and then we're going to leave this up to the parole board and we're going to see how it goes. And this guy was a valedictorian. He was smart, whatever. But now he about to spend a whole long time in prison. So he goes off to prison. And there's no appeal. I'm sure there was an appeal. We did not find an appeal on the TV show that I watched that explained this case. And so I'm assuming there was an appeal. We just gonna go with that. Now, Jeffrey is still in prison. Oh, and then they showed a recent picture of him. And I was just like, oh, let me see what he looks like now. Because I always love to see, like, what do they look like the day they locked up? And then what do they look like a long time later? Did you shave your head? Did you grow a beard? What happened? Do you wear glasses now? How's prison been treating you? He looked good. I was like, oh, Jeffrey, you did something with yourself. Good for you, boo. Oh, here's the most interesting thing. While he was in prison, this lady started writing him. And I was like, why do people write prisoners? I do not understand. They corresponded. They got to know one another really good. And then they got married. Here's the thing. The lady is from Australia. Is this a 90-day fiance situation? Now, see, listen. If I lived in another country and I wanted to come to this country and I found a dude in prison, that is a perfect 90-day fiance situation. You don't have to live with them. He gonna be in prison for a long time. So you don't even... You write him a couple letters, send him some chocolate bars and some magazines in the mail. Boom. You in this country. You're married to a dude who you literally never have to see or almost never have to see. You meet his mom and them. Well, not in this case. You go meet his daddy and them, his family. You hang out with them. And then you just go on and do your happy life. You don't have to fool with him. He not coming to the house. He not leaving toothpaste in the sink. Listen, 90-day fiance people, y'all missing out. I think I found a loophole. You don't have to live with all these crazy people. Get off the 90-day fiance show and just get you a nice prisoner and come on over. But pick a prisoner who's in like Hawaii. Because Michigan, if you used to living in Australia, Michigan is probably an adjustment. So I just came up with an idea for a TV show. Okay, this is like 90-day fiance behind bar. Anyway, so Jeffrey is scheduled to face the parole board for the first time in a few years from now. But the picture from 2019, Jeffrey was looking pretty good. Okay, let's be real. I am unlikely to date or marry a man who killed his mama, especially because A, I'm already married, B, I'm not attracted to prisoners, and C, as we have mentioned before on this channel, I'm not going to go visit you if you're in prison. I might send you a nice letter and a cake with no file in it because I'm not getting caught up in no mess. But Jeffrey seems like he's doing okay. And his sister grew up without an abusive mother. I mean, she grew up with a dead mother. And I guess you could make her a saint now that she's dead and she's no longer here to like daily inflict her madness on you. Lord, I hope the daddy is not trash. The daddy wouldn't divorce her because he was like, that's my wife and sickness and health. And good for him for sticking to his vows. I don't know that I would. We're not even going to go there. Mr. Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo is not up here for me and him to have that conversation. And you heard him laughing on that other video. He's a nice guy. He's cute. He has a good sense of humor. But I'm not leaving that man. He would have to throw me out here. He's probably sick of my mouth. He's probably sick of my mouth right now. But okay, y'all have a great day. Get on out there in the world and do something fantastic. And there will be more true crime. I can't talk. There will be more true crime tomorrow. Bye.